Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Utterly Unscripted. Tonight, I'm joined by a wonderful author who has some amazing books that I want you to go and have a look at. Her name is Bracha Goetz. Hi, Bracha. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, thank you so much.
I'm so pleased to meet you.
Thank you for the way you pronounce my name.
Oh, Bracha. You said to message through. Actually, we talked about it right before we started. That you pronounced the name. Is it Bracha? Bracha.
Yeah.
Is that how the Americans say it?
Well, most people can't do what you do, you know? They can't say bracha. So I say,
Bracha.
I make it simple, bracha. So,
Bracha.
yeah, exactly.
If it works, as long as they call you something and it's not nasty.
Right.
The other thing, well, I practiced a lot, especially sort of in my younger days, because my favorite thing, I'm gluten-free now, but my absolute favorite thing to eat was challah.
Oh.
The challah bread, the knotted bread that you would get from the Jewish bakery. And then I would go to the Jewish supermarket in Melbourne where I was living, and I would buy the matbucha, which is like a salsa dip that I would... It's such an unhealthy habit, but it was either that or the hummus or something, whatever, as long as it's food.
Wow.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really pleased that you're here. I want to talk about you. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself briefly to the audience and letting us know sort of where you've come from and what you're doing, because you have an amazing story.
Okay, sure. Well, what I like to say is that I've had 40 books published that help children's souls to shine. That's what they all have in common. And then one book for adults. It's a candid memoir about my journey. And that also helps souls to shine, but adults, not children. So yeah, that's what I'm all involved with right now.
I love
and
it.
Of course, when I help souls to shine, it helps my soul shine too.
Absolutely. Yep. And that is really important too. You know, we forget about that it is important that although we are helping other people, like you say, their souls to shine, ours has to shine. If we're not doing it for that reason, it's the wrong reason.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes. When I could talk to you about the pleasure ladder, because one of the things, when we do something meaningful in this world, it nourishes our soul. It gives us lasting pleasure. So there's a selfish reason to doing good things in the world.
But that's good. Yeah.
Exactly.
Be selfish because you're doing good things while you're being selfish. I love it. It's fantastic.
Exactly. That gives us the fuel to just shine. It gives us the energy. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But you weren't always an author. You came to this by way of different avenues.
Yeah. Well, what happened is, let's see, I was a big searcher starting from age 12. That's when my memoir begins at age 12. Because what I did was, I didn't write it. I don't like to write long things. I compiled it from my diaries, my journals, my letters. So it's a real case study. And you see, it goes for 20 years, age 12 to 32. And you see a person gradually developing food addictions and then healing from it. And really, from putting the book together, that's how I came to the epiphany. As I was putting it together, I began to understand why, when I finally found the nourishment that my soul was craving, why was I able to finally heal from the food addictions? What did one thing have to do with the other?
Yeah, for sure. And children are suffering from those things too. It's not something that's just exclusively for adults.
Yes. And that's the thing. So I write for children because I'm writing to that girl that I used to be. I
Mm-hmm.
try to write the books I wish I had as a child, books that recognized me as a spiritual being, because
Mm,
for years I couldn't figure out what was missing from my life.
mm-hmm.
It was a very sweet, simple life, but something was missing. It felt pointless. It felt purposeless. At age 12, I started asking, why do we get up every day to go to work, to make money, to buy food, to go to work, to make money? This is just
Yeah.
pointless.
Endless
What's
cycle.
exactly
Mm,
what's there's got to be more. I searched everywhere, I mean, in relationships, environmentalism, at all different religions, not all different religions, but a bunch of different religions. And I mean, I was searching for wisdom. I
mm,
figured eventually I started like, I started doing well in school because I was searching for this wisdom. So then
mm,
I ended up going to Harvard, and there I was really disappointed. I've had an awesome time at Harvard, but I didn't find the wisdom I was looking for. So I basically got sicker and sicker while I was there.
mm,
And
mm-hmm.
even when I went on to medical school after that, uh, with the goal of becoming a psychiatrist, I'm getting worse and worse, and my addictive behaviors were getting more and more bizarre, always
Mm,
done in secret, so nobody knew how I was suffering.
yeah.
And it wasn't filling the emptiness inside.
Mm.
Right.
You weren't being fulfilled.
Yes, I did not know how to fill it.
No.
Exactly. And I didn't even know what it was that I was lacking. I read that with addictions, people, the emptier you feel inside, the more desperately you try to fill it with external things, and the hole
Mm,
just gets deeper and deeper, a bottomless
yeah.
pit.
Oh, absolutely. And what is it about children then? So, actually, sorry, let's rewind. You went to Harvard. Amazing. There's not a lot of people who could say, "Hey, I went to Harvard," and especially not to study to be a psychologist or psychiatrist. You went to medical school. Is that where you went with your career? So did you graduate and go into medicine, or did you graduate and say, "No, I'm not going to do this," and then follow another path?
Yes, I took a huge detour. Between my first and second year of medical school, I had a 6-week break.
Hmm.
I went to Israel, and I came back 10 years later.
Wow.
So it was a huge thing. I basically found my roots. I found I found the wisdom that had been thrown in the garbage. I found
Uh-huh.
my heritage that had been tossed because I didn't really even know there was spirituality to Judaism. Like, I knew about
Yeah.
cultural things, but I
Like
didn't
what you
know
grow up
about.
with?
Yes, I
Sorry.
grew up.
Yeah.
I was Jewish growing up,
Hmm.
but to me, it was not. There was nothing spiritual about that. Or I didn't know people that were
Yeah.
involved with with following the ancient guidelines.
Yeah.
I wasn't familiar with this. Yes.
Right. So you went from Harvard across to Israel. Is that when you went to yeshiva? You went to Or Sameach? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. After my first year of medical school, I graduated from Harvard, went to medical school, and that summer I went, yes, it's called Or Sameach, and I began to learn with other women that felt so similar to me, very idealistic people. Like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, the cynicism was gone, and I
Mm.
felt I was living in a very gray world, and my morals were just like tossed also along with everything else,
Yeah.
and it just changed. Like, the colors started to return to life. That's what started to
Wow.
happen. Yeah.
For people who are not familiar, Or Sameach is typically a male oriented school, right? So how did that you went to the women's division, but it's not so well known, is it?
I can't believe how much you know. I'm astounded here. I'm like
I'm so
amazed.
glad. Oh, I'm glad.
Wow. Woo! So yeah, and people don't know. It just existed for 2 years when I needed it, the women's
Mm,
division of Or Sameach. So they were like really excited. It was just like 10 women were there. It was just opening up and they were so excited. And they also were like, they were really impressed. Oh, a Harvard graduate. Oh my gosh, And
yeah.
like it was really wonderful. I didn't I remember when I went to my first class, I didn't understand some of the words because it was in Hebrew,
Mm,
but like there was something I loved about it. Somehow it entered my hungry soul immediately. It was like,
yeah.
yes, this is what I was looking for. Oh my gosh. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd been involved with Buddhism and Christian Science. Those were two things I had gotten heavily involved with also beforehand in my search. And there's definitely a lot of truth from the things that I was studying that
Mm,
I absorbed, but it didn't fit like this perfect puzzle piece inside my soul.
yeah.
Until I entered these classrooms, it was like an incredibly exciting thing.
I
Yeah.
imagine it would be. It's been a few years that I have known about it. I had a friend who actually went from Melbourne across to Israel and
Wow.
they studied there at Or Sameach. And
Wow.
I remember seeing pictures and hearing about it. And now it's funny actually because I knew that you had been there and I just thought, oh, let me Google and see what's going on there.
Wow.
What an amazing place. I Even if you're not going to be going there, I strongly suggest that people who are listening to this interview just go and have a look.
Wow.
Or.edu, I think is the website. I'll have to double check, but maybe I'll put a link. But it is
Wow.
an amazing place when you see there's one video that they have on YouTube now. They actually have more than one, but there's one video in particular which is a brief introduction to Or Sameach. And if you do not feel the love and the I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. It's completely indescribable, but the warmth envelops you as you're watching the
Wow.
video. It's like a community. There is a fellowship there. And although, of course, like I said, they concentrate on the male side of the school, I actually didn't know that they had a women's division. So is that gone now?
Yeah,
Oh, it is.
it merged into another women's school, which is called Neve Yerushalayim.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So it's, but you're amazing. I'm like in awe of this
Oh,
discussion. I
Bracha,
can't
thank you.
believe I can't believe this is happening. Yes.
I'm so glad. Like I said, I was really looking forward to. As soon as I got the introduction to you, I said yes, absolutely. And then I went and had a look at what you do
Wow.
and your books and things like. And I thought, no, we have to talk to you. And there's so much I feel like you can share, even in a short interview.
Wow.
Well, it's as
Thank
short as
you.
we want it to be, but I'm encouraged that you are an example of you do not have to do one thing for your entire life.
Right. That's right.
Someone
Absolutely
said that to
right.
me a while ago, actually, and it stuck with me. That's one thing that's always sat with me, that there are people who feel like they are stuck doing something. They have
Right.
no options. They just feel trapped. And
Right.
we're going through a pandemic. It's not gone. Australia now has more than 44,000 cases of COVID at the moment, and my whole family has had it. Although, actually, I'm really disappointed. Well, I say disappointed. I haven't tested positive, but I've had all the symptoms. So my niece had it first, and my nephew got it, and my sister and my brother-in-law and my baby nephew. He was only 2, and he was really, really gravely
Hmm.
ill with it.
Hmm.
My mother has had it, and now, but she didn't test positive. She had all of the symptoms. I had all of the symptoms, and we both tested negative.
Right.
So I'm disappointed because I don't feel like I can really say I've had it because
Right.
because I didn't get that
Right.
positive test. But you know what? Everybody's been going through this pandemic and now we feel stuck. People don't know what to do with themselves anymore. They might have lost their job, or they may be, well, like myself, I went back to university. So
Wow.
I'm now studying law. I'm second year law, and I did
Wow.
that only because I thought what I was doing before was completely untenable during a pandemic. I was working in the travel industry, and I cannot continue to do that. I took a job with Australia Post, which is our like USPS in the United States. The difference being that our post offices here in Australia are privately run franchises. So
Ah,
they're not actually run by the corporation that is Australia Post, which was sold off and privatized by the government a few years ago. So I was working in a post office, and the people I was working for were unkind and they were taking advantage. And I thought, oh, am I going to be stuck doing this now? Because it was all I could do. There was nothing else. There were no other jobs. Everybody was working from home, and I had nothing to do to work from. There was nothing I could do to work from home. So I too felt like I was trapped and didn't know what to do. And there are a lot of people, and you, Bracha, are the perfect example. You are the beacon of hope that you do not have to do what you set out to do 20 years ago. You do not have to do what you set out to do 5 years ago. You can change what you
yes.
want to do, and you can be bloody good at it. You can be so good at it. You
It,
just have to believe in yourself. And you believe in yourself. I can feel that from you.
I do now.
Yeah,
I
no.
did. I didn't
But it
then.
shows. It shows that
Yes.
you've worked hard on yourself, and that is such an important message. I talk to people all the time about, you know, people who are going through different disorders, they're going through mental health crises, etc. Um, Being someone who's been there myself, it is so hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. You
Yes.
have to go through all the crap to get to where you're going, but it will happen.
Yes. It could happen. Yes. And if
And
it
you
doesn't
said you have,
happen, it doesn't happen in this lifetime. You'll probably get another chance. Exactly right.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. You said that you had eating disorders. So was that while you were in college you had eating disorders?
Yep. Leading up to
Yeah.
college, and then the worst time was in medical school. So
Wow.
I was at the lowest point, and you would never know. Everything looks successful on the outside. Nobody knows. When a
Yeah.
person has
Yeah.
an addiction, it's hidden.
Yes.
People don't know until it's really,
Until you
completely out.
can't hide it anymore. Yeah.
Exactly right. Exactly
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
I was really, with everything I had going, I was ready to give up on life
Mm,
until I got to that point and finally found the purpose to living. It
mm,
changed everything. You know,
yeah.
I didn't see that light. Like I said, the world had become so gray. Nothing
Mm.
mattered anymore. Nothing didn't matter what I did. Could you imagine? I mean, that it's hard to believe. Like when people read my memoir, they say, "How could you write this? Is so embarrassing." It's very
Oh,
raw because I go through. I exactly I go into the terrible binges that would
yeah.
happen. It was
Yeah.
it was this uncontrollable binging
Mm.
followed by restricted dieting so that nobody could even see what I had done. And it was
Ah,
it's an imprisoning way to live. Like I was in
yeah,
this prison. So
absolutely.
I, 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 I tell people that I have to explain the pain. I have to explain how low it can get, or
Oh,
you
yeah.
can't appreciate how
Where
great
you
life
get
can
to.
possibly. Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm surprised actually that people said that to you, that you should be embarrassed about what you'd written, when really, and especially people who appreciate reading and reading from that perspective, reading a memoir, true stories, how cathartic it is for the writer to get that
Yes.
message out, even if no one reads it.
Yes.
Obviously people have read it, but even if no one reads it, it's cathartic for you to get that out onto paper.
Exactly. You see, the people that said this to me are the people that knew me. They know
Uh-huh.
me. So they're like, why are you sharing this?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't sharing it to write it for these people. I
Yeah.
was sharing it for all the people out there who don't know me at
They
all,
don't
and
know
it can
you.
help them
Yeah.
get to a new place. So for the people that knew me in the beginning, when the book was first published, the first people to read it are the people that know you.
Oh, right.
Until
Of
it goes
course.
out into the wider world, the reaction the first weeks when it was published was kind of, it was kind of filling me with shame, but I knew I
Mm.
still had to do it
It's too late by
because
then.
exactly.
Yeah.
This was something I had to do. And yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it was embarrassing for me to hear it from the people that knew me that had no idea about this part of my life. And now I
Yeah.
was exposing it to the world, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Have you
yeah.
heard of the book One Nun and 100,000 by Luigi Pirandello?
No. Now tell
It is a
me.
book. It's a book that, well, if you haven't had an existential crisis before in your life, which you clearly have had, you will have one reading this book. It talks about it's written really well. It was originally written in Italian, but it is from a fiction perspective how a man has one face for his mother, one face for his father,
Hmm.
one for and all
Mm.
the different people that are in your life, they see you in a particular way, and it's how we portray ourselves to
Yes.
the world. So it's how we project that image. But how I project myself to you is different to how my brother or sister or mother will see me. And all three of them will see me differently
Yes.
than the other. And so this book it deep dives into giving you that existential crisis and breaking you down and making you see that actually there's more to you. There are more
Yes.
faces that you have than the one that you see when you look in the mirror, because what you see in the mirror is different to what someone else sees. There's so many important lessons. It's called One Nun and 100,000 by Luigi Pirandello, and it's available. I think it's on Amazon. I can't remember.
Beautiful.
I read it a long time ago, but it's one of those books that, you're telling me it was embarrassing for all my friends to see this, but actually what you were doing is just showing them another part of yourself. They were seeing you in a particular way.
Yes,
And
exactly.
then you broke down the walls and said, "Hold on, this is what I look like."
Exactly. And it's like the scientists on different parts of the elephant describing what an elephant is, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. They're
If I'm
all
looking at the
right.
elephant from the front and you're looking from the back, we see an
Yep,
elephant completely. We're both looking at an elephant, but our views are a little bit different. And we as
exactly.
people are exactly the same thing. So your memoir, what is it called actually? Because I
Yeah. Oh, let
did
me
I
find
see
it
it here?
here. Oh, here it is. Okay, searching for God in the
Searching for
garbage.
God.
In the
That's the one.
garbage. Yes,
In the
in the
garbage, yes.
garbage. That's the thing. I was literally doing that. I was literally searching in the
I
garbage
love it.
and metaphorically, both ways. Yes,
Is it available
exactly.
as an ebook as well, or is it just paperback?
It's an ebook as well, yes.
Oh, it is. Okay, I'm gonna
Yep.
get it. I'll have to get it. I've got so many books at the moment, Bracha. I've just finished reading a book by her name is Mary Johnson. She lived with Mother Teresa in
Wow.
New Delhi, and um it's an interesting book. It wasn't what I expected, but that's one that I've just finished, and then I'm reading a couple others that future guests have sent me, advanced reader copies and things like that. So I have a lot of books, but I love reading.
I'm not surprised. You are a person that loves to learn about everything. It's
I
so
do.
great. It's
I
so great.
absolutely do. I always have been. And I have always thought, in fact, when I was at school, I was always told you have to pick a career. That is what
Huh.
you're going to do. You decide, you go to school, you learn how to do things, and that's what you're going to do when you grow up. And when I was 18, I left Australia for the first time on my own. I decided, no, I'm going to go overseas. Instead of going to university, I booked myself a ticket. And 5 days after my 18th birthday, I left, went overseas, and spent close to 7 years traveling.
Okay. Oh, well, that's kind of
Yeah,
similar. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. So you can relate. You can
I
make a
can. Yeah,
detour any time in
you
life, just
can.
like you
Yeah,
said. It's so
Absolutely.
empowering. Yes.
Yes, it is empowering. And I recommend it to everybody. Don't go straight to university from
Uh,
school. Don't leave school and go to university. You need to, when you're young, you need to go out and experience the world, because there's more to the world than that little bubble that you live in when you're growing up. And it's very easy to get stuck in the bubble and never break out again. But you don't
Interesting.
ever have to do the same thing, because like I said, I left school and I was working for the company that was owned by AT&T here in Australia. So AT&T, for those who don't know, is one of the major American telecommunications companies. And I was working in their call center, and I thought, oh, I hate this. I don't like it. I don't want to do it anymore. So I left and I went traveling and started working in travel, and that's where I stayed. I did stay there, and I thought, is this all there is? I don't know if I'm stuck doing this now. So 2020 came along, and I thought, I'm doing nothing now. I was
Huh.
working part-time with the post office, and they weren't paying me. They kept saying that they'd run out of money. And so
Wow.
my crisis was, do I just keep working for free because I need something to do? And also, oh,
Wow.
I'm sorry, everybody, I hit the microphone. What I kept thinking to myself was, what do I say to people if I quit this job? There's this stigma, and especially in Australia, people will know there's a stigma attached to people who are not working.
hmm
I think that's shameful. I really think it's so unfair, because you don't know what someone is going through at that particular moment in their life. But I kept working for free because
Wow.
I was ashamed to
Wow.
say, I'm not working anymore.
Wow.
Even through a pandemic, I was still prepared to go and put my life at risk, especially in those early days of the COVID
Right.
outbreaks, and deal with people who were rude and insensitive and very, yeah, demanding. They weren't kind. People were not being kind in the beginning of the pandemic. It was really a sad time for humanity.
A lot of
Uh,
fear. Yes,
yeah,
there was
there
a lot
was a
of
lot of
fear.
fear, which led to people being nasty
Right.
and angry, and I can understand it, but
Right.
it is difficult to be on the receiving end of it.
Yes.
But
Yes.
yeah, I had shame. I had shame attached to, what do I say to people when they say, well, what are you doing for work? Because that's the
Yes.
thing, that for some reason what you do for work is attached to your sense of worth.
Exactly.
It
I
shouldn't be.
exactly. I mean, I felt when I graduated from Harvard, left medical school, this
Mm,
was like such a responsible thing to be doing. Like, I would just be considered a responsible person if I just kept going on that path. Why was I
yeah.
leaving it? Because that's not the most important thing.
Mm,
I I knew that I was so miserable inside. If I didn't if I didn't get what I was craving, it wasn't going to be a fulfilling life. I
no,
mean,
no.
well, I had to do what I did. And that, right, it wasn't an easy choice to make, but it was like everything in my whole spiritual being was telling me I was doing the right thing. So I was
Yeah.
able
Then you
to,
know it is. You have to listen to
yes,
that. We
yes,
call that intuition, your
yes,
gut. You have to
yes,
listen to your gut. And I talk to many people on this podcast about
yes.
listening to your gut. So, Searching for God in the Garbage wasn't your first book. Um, you started out doing the children's books first?
Yes, and I just realized this yesterday. I started writing children's books when my children were very little. I sat outside with a pad of paper, with a notebook, and I wrote down the ideas I had. I made it into a storybook while they were playing in the playground. So I
Uh-huh.
put I put the papers, never typing it up, put it in an envelope and mailed it to America. And 6 weeks later, I got back that the book was accepted. I was like,
Oh.
whoa, this is it. Now I get what to do. This is how you write a
Yeah.
picture book. So, yeah, I kept going and I wrote when my children were little. And
What
now
was your first book?
the itchy Shabbos about about dealing with mosquitoes on Shabbos, and which is the Sabbath. So
Yes.
it's really about mind over matter. About how you could deal with that as a child. It's very interesting, the struggle.
Absolutely.
So
Itchy Shabbos.
yes, and
I think I
then
saw that on your page. Did
yeah,
I see
right
that on your
now,
page
yeah,
tonight?
it's out of print. That's like a
Oh, it's out
really
of
old
print.
book. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But now then I just kept writing, right. I got ideas from my little children. Now I have a whole lot of grandchildren, so I'm still writing, and it just has evolved through the years, and that's what I did.
Well,
And
you have the
then
beautiful genetics. You've got the beautiful Jewish genes, obviously, because you don't look like you should be a grandmother.
oh,
Which
thank
you've
you.
been very lucky. You've been blessed.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
helped.
you.
Yeah.
They
But
they
so
they
you have
they keep
40.
me young. They keep me
Oh,
young.
that's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. And the books that you write now are for them.
Yes, for them, and like I get calls from people, please write a book about this or that. Like during pandemic major was a
Yeah.
desperate mother. A desperate mother called me and said, "Please write a book about why junk food is harmful,
Mhm.
why exercise is needed, why children need sleep, because
Yeah.
like the children are like, off the wall in so many ways now.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I wrote Let's Stay Healthy. I'm
Yes.
this is my newest book, and basically I remember saying to her, it's a fantastic idea, but I don't exactly know how to write this book. But what happens to me is I sleep on it. And a few
Mhm.
days later, I wake up in the morning, I keep a pad by my bed and I'm scribbling. I had the title, I had exactly how to do the book.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I called her up, I go, the book's practically written now. I got it. So yeah, it's like, it's wonderful. And that's what you see, I say even the books, I have a few books because even as an undergraduate, I was taking courses at the Graduate School of Public Health and at Harvard Medical School because I love public health. So
Mm,
I love explaining to children the why behind why we do things. So
mm.
the Let's Stay Healthy book, I have two books about prevention of abuse for children. The funny thing is that the abuse books are the most popular books of all my books. I
Oh,
think they're in over 100,000 homes. And I get lots of feedback about how they've saved lives, because
that's good.
if if a child is abused, then their their soul remains pure, but there's tons of garbage piled on top of it. So
Mm,
it's very hard for their soul to shine. So
yeah.
the prevention of abuse, and if a child has been abused, that they need to be able to express it and tell people and do something about it. This
Mhm.
is so essential. So this is what my books have been about, and I even have a book about swimming safely. If we don't have healthy bodies, I mean, our healthy bodies are an important part of letting our souls shine. So
Mm.
yeah,
I want to talk about that. You said that one of your books is in 100,000 homes. Uh, First of all, if you're listening to this and you do go and purchase any of the books from Bracha, please go and review them on Amazon because I think it shows higher. It actually gets your books in front of more people because I noticed that your your reviews aren't coming in. You need more reviews. You've got wonderful reviews. The reviews you have are 5-star, but more people need to just take that few minutes to just give you another 5-star review. And
yeah, people,
they're
yeah,
obviously well deserved, but they need to
yeah.
do more.
No, you're right. People don't realize how much it helps. It is a great thing to do. Yes.
Yeah, please do
Yeah.
that. So you were saying Let's Stay Healthy, that's your latest book. You also have a Let's Stay Safe book.
Yeah,
Was that also a pandemic book?
now that book is one of the safety books about
Oh, that's the safety book.
personal safety, and so
Mhm.
is personal privacy is
Personal
also.
privacy. Yeah.
Let's Appreciate Everyone is about disabilities, how
Oh, I
children
like that.
can be more inclusive of children
Mm.
with disabilities.
Okay.
One of the points. And now this book, one of my grandchildren was born with severe disabilities, and
Mm-hmm.
afterwards, people said to me, "Oh, now you're going to write about disabilities." I'm sure, I said I would, but again, I'm not an expert. I don't know what to write about that. So again, when your eyes are opened, it was soon after that I saw an article in my local paper by a woman, Yael Zellinger, who was giving workshops about disabilities. So I
Mm-hmm.
called her up and I said, "How would you like your workshops to be expressed in a picture book?" And she loved that idea. So it's really her ideas. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, for instance, one of the ideas is this: children naturally stare at a child with a visible disability. But this is explaining there's another 5-letter word that also begins with S, like stare. That word is smile. If
Mm.
you add your smile, you can stare because you're curious, and that's understandable. Just add your smile, and
Yeah.
that creates a connection. Then it helps both children's souls to be able to shine. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, I explain when you meet a child in a wheelchair, sit down next to them. These are helpful hints so you're on the same level. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if you meet a child that is blind, make sure you introduce yourself. Say who you are. When you're
Yeah.
going away, say, "I'm going away now." It gives basic tools so that you know what to do, and then
Yeah.
you feel more comfortable interacting.
I like that. Yeah.
Also, with so many invisible disabilities, social disabilities, why is that child sitting on the side? Why do they never play with everybody else? It explains it is helpful to go over, invite them to come, and they may
Mm-hmm.
not be interested, but
Yeah.
it's still helpful to try, and it's a good thing to do.
I
Yeah.
love it. To open your heart is to open your mind, and you're never too young to
Oh,
learn
beautiful.
how to do that. I love that
Beautiful.
idea. We need to learn these things when we're young. What kind of age group are you? Because I see a few of your books, especially a little bit further. If people are looking, um, further down the page, you've got like sets of books that look to be a little bit older, and they are maybe focusing on younger children. But then you've got, like you said, personal privacy. I mean, when would you introduce a book like that to a child? When they're, say, 5, 6 years old, or would it be older?
Well, okay. Some of my books are board books. That means they're even for like age
Toddlers.
exactly, even for
Yeah.
toddlers.
That's what I was
Right.
sort of saying. Yeah,
Exactly.
they look like they're aiming to, like my nephew. He's 2 years old now, and he's still looking at board books.
Right.
We think he may be on the spectrum, and he doesn't speak. So and he has tendencies that look like they are, on that autism spectrum. But so board books are wonderful for kids like him. They teach him the basics, and since he's been introduced to those things, he's picking up more.
Hmm.
It's easy to sit your kid in front of the TV and that's their babysitter. And especially if you're frustrated and you don't know and they're not responding to you, just remember they are absorbing everything. I'm not a parent and I'm no expert at all, but I just see, this is my observation, that kids are absorbing everything. They
Exactly.
don't miss anything. they
Exactly.
they're picking up on whatever you're putting down. So it doesn't matter whether they're talking to you or responding to you. Make sure that the message you're putting out is positive. And that's what I saw in your books, the board books for the younger kids. Even if you're not reading it to them, let them see it.
Exactly. It the these books, it engraves on the child's soul.
Yeah.
These young souls. I say, like, getting the messages out to the world, it it helps that they don't have to play catch up the rest of their lives if they
Yeah.
can absorb these messages early on. That's what I'm trying to do, and they don't have to go through unnecessary pain. There's plenty of
Mm.
painful experiences we're going to go through. That's what we're
Mm-hmm.
here for, to overcome these challenges. But we don't have to put unnecessary pain in our lives when there are clear directions, clear guidelines about how to have a joyful life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and a lot of that has to do with having gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Taking care of our bodies is part of expressing gratitude for the bodies that we have. So yes, like Let's Swim Safely is a board book, means it's made out of cardboard. So the children can throw it all over the place, and hard to rip the pages, they can read it
Yeah.
over and over and over again. That's the
Absolutely.
whole idea with a board book. So yeah, it starts from age 1 month old, the board books, and then to age 3, and then my picture books, so they go from like age 3 to 6, I would say 7. And then children start reading chapter books, which I don't write. So my books are for that young age group.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I find that older children are reading them too. I mean, they pick them up. And I hear even from teenagers that have read Let's Stay Healthy, and they contact me to say, now I get why I need sleep, because
Uh-huh. Yeah.
teenagers are notorious for not being into sleeping, but
I have a
it explained.
16-year-old nephew.
Yes, yes,
I get it. I see
yes.
it. He lives with me, and yeah, he's always up. And yes, so maybe I should get him this book. It'll have to be an ebook. I don't know if I can get him to read a paperback.
No, he'd be embarrassed. It's a picture book for really little kids. It's more like, if you see it laying around where there are young children, they pick it up and they read it surreptitiously when no one's looking, that's
Yes, exactly. Yeah, in secret.
right.
Have
Right.
you considered doing more with these books? Have you been approached by anybody to do more with these books? For example, I know that they are picture books, but what about for visually impaired children? Audiobooks, or, as I said before, a lot of parents are content with putting their children in front of the TV. Have you been approached to do things like small YouTube cartoons or something? That seems to
Yes.
be a trend that's happening now.
Yep. That's what we're working on now. Audio
Oh,
books
good.
and animation. Animation is the way we're going. So we're really enjoying
Good.
that new process right now. What happened is my youngest children, with my newest book, Let's Stay Healthy, they told me not to send it to a publisher because I'm not a business person. I'm not interested in this aspect. So
Mm.
they said, now we're taking over. Don't send it out. We're publishing your book. So they became a publishing company, and they're
Okay.
doing all kinds of interesting stuff, like you said, audiobooks and animation and everything. They're
Yeah.
they are full of creativity, and they're having a blast doing this.
That's so
Yeah.
good. Oh, that's so good. Well, if you need any help, call out. I volunteer for a company in India who create children's audiobooks for visually impaired and intellectually
Oh,
disabled children, and
wow.
they're now moving into offering the same thing for adults. So
Wow.
adults who are on the spectrum, who suffer from even things like dyslexia, and I say suffer not as a demeaning. I'm not trying to put down someone when I say suffering, but I see the struggles that people with some of these disabilities have, or differently abled people have. And so that's why I decided to donate my time on top
Wow.
of doing the podcast. And I'm also doing paid audiobooks and things like that.
Right.
But I would be happy to help out and do some
Wow.
stuff for you. I have a few accents in my arsenal, apparently.
Wow. Beautiful.
But it would be my pleasure. I would absolutely love to. I
Wow.
wanted to. So you, that's something that you're working on. I'm going to be following you now. I'm going to be looking to see what you're doing. Are you on social media? How can people contact you? I know that they can go to your website. Well, it's not. It's your website, isn't it?
Yeah.
Getzbookshop.com.
Yes, right. That's it. That's where my children want everybody to go, to that new
Yeah.
website.
I will make sure that there is a link. So in the show notes, people can find the link. And of course, once the episode goes live, it will be tweeted out and Facebooked and Instagrammed out. So we'll tag you in that. Is there anything else that you're working on? Like you were saying that the older kids, is that what you would like to do some more of? You've written your memoir now. So obviously that isn't geared towards children. You've had the experience of writing for an older audience. Do you feel the call to help the souls of older kids or young adults or even older adults
Yes,
help their souls shine?
yes. People keep telling me to write a book, write more, keep going.
Yeah.
What happened after that memoir?
It's
I'm
like they
not.
don't know what effort goes into it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not that excited about it. So I like to do what I'm excited about doing, but
Yeah.
I do love doing these presentations like I'm doing right now. And
Mm,
during the pandemic, oh my gosh, like I started doing presentations in continents I'd never been to, in Australia and Asia and Africa, and going into classrooms, presenting my books. It's been so awesome.
mm.
And I love meeting people like you and other people that I just would never get to meet.
Yes.
And this is so awesome. Like I do I did repeated shows for truck drivers in America. I mean, like, where would I be doing it? And ex-convicts, I'm
Yeah.
sharing all this information. What Another day this week I was speaking to a Muslim group in Somalia. I mean, this is awesome.
Wow.
This
That's
is
amazing,
so
isn't it?
awesome. I love
Yeah.
being able, because it's a universal message that we're spiritual beings. We,
Yeah.
like you said, when we look in the mirror, there's a disconnect because all we see is that physical presence.
Mm.
And I tell people when they're upset about their wrinkles or their graying hair, w- w- our our souls never age. That's why there's a
Mm.
disconnect. We
Yes.
don't recognize that aging person because our souls are as full of vitality as they ever were. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's easy to see why people would suffer that way. Again, I use that word suffer because it is a suffering. I guess it's a lesson for us.
Yes.
It There are lessons there that we need to learn. I'm excited to hear that you're doing these things, that you're talking to people all over the world. And to that point, um when people are going to your website to order, what is the best way for them to do it? Say, for example, someone, look, most of my audience, 56% of my audience are in the United States. So I don't think they'll have a problem. But I also have about 40% of the audience who are here in Australia. Ordering physical things, as we all know, with this pandemic has become close to impossible. Things don't show up, it takes forever. What are the options available? Do you ship internationally? What should people be aware of?
Yes, from the website, um, there's an Amazon link in the website as well, and there is Amazon Australia,
Yes, there
right?
is. Yeah.
Yeah, so that should, yeah, that
Well,
works. Does it
there's
work
Amazon.
well?
There's Amazon. So people will know that they can go to amazon.com.au, and it is getting better in this
Yes,
country, but it is still very difficult to get some of the things that
right.
people like. In fact, one I was looking for a book, another book, looking for another book on Amazon, and it was going to cost me more than 100 and something dollars to have it
Wow.
shipped to me because it was only
Wow.
available in the United States. And what a lot of people in Australia will also recognize is sometimes they'll look for things, it'll come up on the Amazon Australia
Right.
website and say that it's available, and as you go through the checkout process, they
Oh,
then get told that it is not available for delivery to their address in Australia. I don't know what that
oh,
issue is all about, but there's always something.
I
But
see.
yeah,
Then,
if
yeah,
they
for
are
that,
available as ebooks or things
right.
like that, I think that's sometimes easier when
Right.
we're stuck here on the island.
Right, I get it. No, so only
Yeah.
only my memoir is an ebook right now, and
Okay.
I think that, what was I gonna say about I forgot what I was gonna say.
That's okay. Go by and have a look. As I said, I'm doing it now while we're talking. I'm just clicking on the link to see where it would take me. And I was pretty sure it took me to amazon.com.au, which is the Australian side of
Right.
Amazon. But then when I tried to order, I think it came up that it was not available to be
Wow.
shipped to Australia.
Wow.
Just something if your children publishers are listening.
Right.
Um, yeah, I don't know if there's maybe a way that my company can help you to distribute here or something like that. Maybe we could talk about that off air.
Okay, great. Thank
It
you.
has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Bracha. I have so enjoyed this conversation. It has been wonderful, and learning about your books. And I really want people to go and have a look. So um, please follow the link, Bracha Goetz. Well, actually, I should say it so that you understand Bracha. Bracha Goetz, Goetz dot books.com. But I'll put a link. I will put a link to that, and I will be watching you. I will be following you and seeing what is happening, and probably inviting you back again.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. Thank you. What a pleasure.
Thank you. It has been a pleasure for me. I'm so glad. It's 11:30 at night here, but it has been so worth it. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Bracha.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.